Okay, I'm Stuart Shapiro, the creator of Night Flight and Night Flight Plus, and I'm honored to be here with Slava Zuckerman, who is the creator, director, and all things great for Liquid Sky. Um, Slava, thank you, man. I'm honored. We are actually showing this interview and Q&A after the screening here at Roxy. And I just want to say how stunning and beautiful and amazing your film is. I'm like just it's such a special film. It's such a time capsule. So why don't we start from the beginning a little bit and talk about the history of Liquid Sky and go back. Perhaps you can talk about the casting and Anne and how you found her and bring us back to the beginning of the creative process of the film.
Great. Your last question is a part of the first question because Anne is not like an actress who was casted for the film. She is a part of the history, a very important part of the history. So the history started, first of all, if somebody doesn't know, I was born and educated in Russia. I left Russia with my wife and in 1973 went to Israel. We spent there 3 years. And after that, I realized that Israel, well, today's Israel is 3 times bigger than it were, more population than it was in 73. So it was too small, didn't have enough audience to make films there really, because all the films are pretty bad and several ones which were really good had no audience at all. So, I decided that I need to move, and we moved to America. Me and I mentioned my wife because she's an important part of all of that. She's worked with me all the time. She really has all the education as film as a director and as a writer, as a film critic, and from the moment we met, she was helping me and working with me as a producer or assistant or whatever. So we came to New York, and I had this idea that that it will take me several years, like about 3-4 years, to absorb enough to be able to make film in America and to be able to raise money for low budget film in America. I understood that I shouldn't go to LA, should go to New York because New York is a better place to make
Of course.
films. So it all was exactly according to my plan. And I started a film called Sweet 16. It was a science fiction story about a girl who kind of died in an accident, and her crazy scientist father created mechanical body, attached her head to this body, and she stayed 16 forever. And it was pretty complicated. A couple of love stories included a pretty complicated story, which at the moment when I was writing it, I really didn't know that new wave punks, that it all existed. It was, I just came from, it all was, it had some continuity in time, it was different in different period. So then we started casting. We found an investor who wanted to invest in this film not more than $500,000, and we started casting. The casting, that's the beginning of history of Liquid Sky, because the casting director was Bob Brady. My wife met him at one party, and it is difficult to find a good casting director for a low budget film who really knows right people. So Bob was very, he was because he died several years ago. Bob playing himself in Liquid Sky, he's playing acting teacher, acting professor, that's Bob Brady. He was, for many years, he was teaching acting in School of Visual Art and in his loft as well. And in his loft, it was a kind of very special life because he was living there and his students were partly living together with him in his loft, and every evening it was a big collective dinner. It was very specific place, very specific people. And when we started working with these people, with Bob, we became very close friends, actually moved to nearby and became neighbors as well.
Uh-huh.
And that's the beginning of Anne's stairs as well, because Anne was one of his best students.
As
I don't
students.
want to say best, but she was both in School of Visual Art, because the School of Visual Art, she started as a painter, but not as an actress.
Uh-huh. That's interesting. You can see the reference there on the visual.
She's now making a lot of interesting ceramic sculptures and sells them. She's still a visual artist as well. So 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 what happened? We were casting this film, Sweet 16, and then an investor met a very good production manager who's supposed to be the best production manager in New York. And good production manager read the script and said that it's absolutely impossible to make this film for $500,000.
For $500,000. I mean, impossible. Can't do it.
I would do it still, but the investor, believed to the production manager better than more than me. And he said, well, I spent enough money. It's okay. It's my problem. I stop I'm stopping this project. And at that moment, I already changed, a lot of things changed in my life. Like with the same in Carlisle, and she read with 16 scripts and said, that's a real new wave film. I said, what's new wave? I didn't know. But
So what year are we talking now? 1970 what?
no, it was 70, no, it was 80.
It was 80 already.
It was 80. I think it was 81 or 82. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't remember exactly. So, I mean, it was exactly as I planned 4 years after we came to New York in
Mm-hmm.
1976 plus
1980.
80. So that's how we started this project. So I was different person at that moment, and I had a lot of friends and all in New Wave and nightclubs and all that, including Ken and Festival and I came with a new idea that it's better to make good low budget. First of all, I understood that it's probably getting from any investor more than $500,000 will be a big problem for
Yeah,
this.
of course. Yeah, that's
So
already a lot of money in that time.
I need to plan something which is doubtlessly for everyone I can make for $500,000,000. So I started writing a new script, and my second idea was that I need to I don't need to cast the film. I know now a lot of young unknown actors with Bob class, and it's better, and Bob himself and several of his friends, and it's better if I write a script which uses real characters of these people. They play themselves, and better I would do even with starts. And by experience with Sweet 16, I understood, for example, that it's stupid to write script with 40 years old complicated characters, because if you make low budget film, because you cannot cast union members. You need to make a non-union film. It's by definition you would have bad acting in the leading characters.
Yeah.
So that's what was the solution. I was writing script with these people. And at that moment, Anne really moved to our place because my wife was writing her own script about a woman who had no orgasm.
Okay. So there you go. Just
What we see was different script. It's not Liquid Sky, not because there are a lot of legends about Liquid Sky. And I just read in some article that Sweet 16 became Liquid Sky. It's not, it's a completely different script. And what my wife was writing, it's another different script. Just at the last moment of writing, my wife decided that she needs naturally, America-born writer to polish dialogues to make them real. And she invited them to join her and moved to our loft. And they were writing, And every dinner, like we were speaking together, they were discussing all these problems of orgasm and have orgasm, not having the
Okay.
and women liberation and all that. And it was in my head. So I had an idea that I want to make still science fiction film, but it should be built around special effects, which I already know how to do. So I decided that it will be a story of a small UFO, which lands up on the roof of a building, and a girl who cannot find her Prince Charming. She's like Cinderella without Prince Charming, because everybody she gets involved with, all the bad men, and she wants, and finally, the shapeless alien from outer space becoming her Prince Charming.
Right.
So, listening to this, looking at Anne, who already acted, and I've seen her acting and all that, and knowing her her real experience, I decided that she can be a perfect leading character, and if she writes it, she would absolutely write realistic dialogues for this character.
Okay.
And so, and it was a part of, I think, part of general style changing of film industry at the moment, especially in Europe. People try to shoot real people, and directors try to use the real experience. There was some, I don't know, I think Swedish director who made his wife to sleep with different people and was shooting it himself. It was
Mm-hmm.
like that. He wanted to see how he reacts to his wife.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying, it would look to me very, very attractive to have a science fiction story, very theatrical in style. In the same time, top realistic and top theatrical, because
Right.
realistic, because people are really playing themselves and they
Right. So
really
that's a really good point that it's realistic because the characters are playing themselves to a great degree and you're constructing because the thing that's kind of magical about the film
right.
is that it's surreal based on reality.
That's exactly what I wanted to do. And then, and we started working, really writing the script was one of the best periods of my life. We were laughing all the time that it was intentional or not intentional humor. Some people thought it's unintentional. It's very intentional because I never laughed as much as during the writing the script.
Okay. Okay, so that brings up a really good point that I found. I watched the movie last night again to prepare myself for our call today. And what's really so surprising and internally, it's very, very dark. The humor is dark, and I found myself laughing internally. I wanted to laugh out loud, and my wife was going, "Wow, it's like weirdly funny." To talk to me a little bit about that the complication of dark humor and how and meanness and comedy that comes out of it. Was it intentional?
Absolutely intentional. Actually, by the demands of some people whom I decided maybe they're right. I cut a couple of small things which were in the script, in the film, which really show that it should be comic, that it's intentional. I took it off because some people were saying, "Listen, it's a tragic moment. You're killing your film. You cannot laugh here."
Yeah. But what about the meanness, though, that you started? Where did the meanness and why the meanness? Is it because of what the harm that was coming? Is it because of the drug? Why did you need and express the meanness?
Guinness was part of new wave of these people, these punks. They were very mean, and it was one of main elements of their culture. So that didn't come from me, but their meanness was their main message, because they tried to show to others to themselves that the entire world like that. That's not. They are just theater showing this world. They just It was, in a sense, it was very Brechtian, and I liked it very much because at that moment Brecht was my great idol. And another my great idol was Andy Warhol.
Yes.
I thought that his films are too funny. He, as a painter, he is very, very general for a general audience. He really took the world. As a filmmaker, he made very limited, understandable films for specialists, for real.
Punk, for sure.
Yes. And I decided that I'll make film which will take some, way of thinking of Andy Warhol, but I will make a film for general, for audience, not for specialists. So I don't know if I managed to do it or not, but that was the idea.
So talk to me about the special effects and your relationship with Neiman. I'm curious if you can talk about the special effects in its day, as I remember, was extraordinary. And then watching it now and watching it on the screen, it still holds up. It's still very, very unique. Talk the style and the special effects. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
It's a great pleasure. And then I was a student and from school. And then it is not film school, and film institute. Back then, only one place you can learn filmmaking in Russia. Very, very, specific place. There, all the teachers were top filmmakers. Only top filmmakers could teach there, and it really was very, very, very good. And one of my friends there, who was studying camera work, was the director of photography. He had amateur studio with school children. Somewhere he was teaching children to shoot film. And one day he told me, listen, I have one student who was at that moment 15 years old, I think, Yuri Neyman, who is genius. So that's how I met Yuri Neyman first time.
In Russia?
In Russia, yeah.
Okay.
Then he went to film school himself and was the best student there, and graduated and started working at big studio, and he made a couple of very high budget top films there. He always was very interested in special effects, and I always was very interested in special effects. Actually, in all my films before Liquid Sky, I made all the special effects myself. So not Yuri was really top specialist, and he knew all the people who knows how to do technical things, like unexpected. Then he just immigrated. I wanted to work with him in Russia, but he said no completely, because I wanted first, he was making high budget film, I'm not. But second, actually high budget film he made after I left. But at that moment, I wanted him to immigrate with me, but he said that he doesn't want to immigrate before he will make a big career there. So he left in Russia, made his best films, but still, when he came to America, he was friendly with all the top technical specialists in film, like Massa films, like the equipment to make this color change, this
colors
effect was done with a computer. He got borrowed from the best video technician, the top video technician of NASA, with whom he was friendly before he left Russia. I don't know. He was really, very good with this. Is the best. So at the moment that we started Liquid Sky, we really, between two of us, we already discussed all the special effects which we know how, unknown to people special effects which we know how to do, and we'll know how to make them. And then we took the assistant camera for him, for Yuri, who was really never was a camera worker. He was an engineer in Russia, film engineer. He was building cameras. So we knew that we have a person who can build for us equipment which we will figure out we need.
Interesting. Wow.
So really, the script of Liquid Sky was written. It was written like with actors were known before script written. The same well, all the special effects of the script were known before we started writing the script. I knew exactly what special effect we can make. And then we were editing Liquid Sky. And at the same time, we were shooting special effect. And the last special effect was shot exactly at the last days of editing. So
At last day. So
planned, yes.
but so in the creation and the scripting, you really always from day one were building the story around that it would have the special effects. And the way in which you kind of did that sort of repeated infiltration of the brain, did you have that image or did you work with Yuri on that, because, to try to make that kind of uniform?
When you want to get something really weird, like it's image of killing on the screen, which people think
Okay.
animation, but it's not an animation. Like several years ago, I was last time in Russia, like 5 years ago. A woman came to me and said that she is the best animator, special effect animator in Russia. And she and the entire community, they speak all the time how this animation made in Liquid Sky. They cannot figure out how to make it because nobody can do it. And then I told her, I was really pleased to hear that. I said, well, it's not animation. It's never been an animation. It's really pretty complicated.
Hmm.
We knew that we need something which nobody's seen, new kind of image. We didn't know how to do it, but we knew optics enough. So we built a chain of different things, different lenses, different Polaroid effects. We change the light, and finally we've got on the computer, got this image. It wasn't animated; it was the result of electronic change of light.
Okay. All right.
So of course, nothing like that existed before. And with several effects, several people were coming to me and to Yuri asking to give this effect to them for commercials.
Hmm.
Right after release of Liquid Sky. And I said, Yuri, no way. We don't need to, everybody telling that we took it from commercials.
Yeah. So tell me about Ben Bernholtz, who was a friend of mine and obviously was the maven of midnight movies. And I was surprised to see him. And then I sort of saw him, and then the credits, wow, that was Ben. Surprised, number one credit on your, tell me, where did Ben come from? Did he help you raise money or what was it?
Yeah, the thing is that Ben was a very good friend of all this company all the time. I mean, it was really the friends of Bob Brady, who became my friends as well. It was like very much part of Andy Warhol circle as well. Some of them, some of well, that's a long story. If we'll have enough time, maybe I'll tell about that as well, about the Andy Warhol crowd participation on the show. But with Ben, we really became great friends, not because of his profession, it just was friends of friends, we became friends. I think the first time met him at his birthday or something like that. He was regularly.
Oh, he was a very friendly guy. I mean, he had a big warm heart, which is part of his attraction as well. But did you have a friendship based on film? And it was the friendship,
Friendship.
any
No,
influence on on the movie?
I said before, it was before Liquid Sky. So then we wrote the script Liquid Sky. I gave the script to Ben. He was the first person to read it.
Mm-hmm.
And when he read it, he asked a very good question. He said, listen, it looks like you plan to make a cult film. I am the greatest specialist in this question, and I'm telling you, it's impossible. Nobody could pre-plan cult film.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
It's just happening. I said, well, I already wrote it. Let's see what will happen. And it turned out that I was right. I loved New York. I loved New York at this moment very much. I mean, approximately about the same time Woody Allen made his Manhattan. I loved the film. It's completely different New York, right? But for me, it's the same New York. I loved it both. That's Woody Allen's New York.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love New York. And actually, a lot of people wouldn't share my feelings because people think that New York was terrible, it was dirty,
In the 80s, it was rough. It was rough, but we loved it. We loved it.
still
Still
is.
love it.
I mean, I loved it. And actually, I'm kind of missing. I'm nostalgic for this New York. I think it was very creative, very creative.
It was. I completely agree with you on that. I think that's really, and that, of course, Slava, that's also what's beautiful about your film in the time capsule. You know, I made Mondo, New York in the 80s, 79, 80 to try to capture the Lower East Side performance art. And there was it was just a great time creatively. And probably we're, you know, as filmmakers and producers, we were very lucky to live in that time. You even luckier to be able to create a masterpiece from that.
I'm absolutely share this feeling that we were very lucky. I think the best off Broadway experimental theater which I've seen in my life existed back then in New York. I really loved it all. I loved galleries. I loved that galleries uh, in the same buildings, the whorehouses. I mean, it's all bordellas. I loved all of this. I loved this mix of different dirty and artistic, and I loved it. That's
Well, I think you and I can talk for an awful long time. We got a 50-minute beautiful interview. I hope we can do part two and go into some other components. Um, I'm honored. I just, I don't know quite how to say, but you know, as a fellow filmmaker and a media maven, you are the reason that Night Flight exists because you are one of those jewels, and you're the reason why people can look back at a time that they may have not had anything to do with. So you've created a time capsule masterpiece, and I thank you for it, and I'm honored, and congratulations, and um, hope to do this again with you.
thank you, and I'm happy to share with you this, and good, good, very good.
Yeah.